Hello, hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Very well, Andy. Yeah, Happy New Year.
I was going to say I think we're past the cut-off of Happy New Year.
I haven't seen you. I think
it's the 15th of January.
Yeah, that does seem like a reasonable cutoff, but I think also like the first few seconds of seeing someone in Jan is all right. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Maybe
anyway,
it's Christmas as well. You know.
yeah. And I've not been on for a good couple of months, so it's been a while. Put it that way. And Jake has gone, so just like that. Oh, hello. You just left.
Yeah. Okay. You've gone. You're back. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year to absolutely everyone, all our regular porous sippers. I can see you all in the chats chatting about whiskey and ginger cocktails. I can see mostly. Some of you trying dry January like Simon, but has given up tonight, obviously. So nice to see you guys. Welcome back, Malcolm. Happy New Year. Jester, Happy New Year. Hope you all had a good one. And welcome to any of our new pour and sippers who might be joining us today. Any of you guys who got gifted this maybe as a Christmas present from someone because you're interested in exploring your journey of whiskey. Welcome to Pour and Sip. I'm Andy and this is Jake. We're going to be hosting you through tonight's extravaganza of whiskey. I was trying to think of a word like journey, but I thought I'd already used journey a couple of times and then couldn't think of another one for journey.
Okay. Extravaganza,
we'll go with that. And what's in store for tonight, Jake?
So we have Lochlea, Orchard and Oak. We're going to start with. We're going to talk to Patrick. We then also have Filey Bay, the STR, the new core release. New core release from Lochlea as well. So two of those. So new permanent releases. We're going to talk to Morgan, who is sat in the still house waiting to chat to us, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
And then we're going to drink some Glenrothes, 15-year-old, because that seems like a pretty good idea. And we're going to chat to Georgia about that. So yeah, we've got three guests waiting in the wings. We've got three cracking whiskies, and I'm really excited. It's a good little start to the year we've got here.
I was going to say the same thing. A few new pour and sippers commenting here. Jonathan Brooker, welcome. Yes, my first ever live tasting. Real Boinger, who's definitely not your first, say hello. Happy New Year in France. Etiquette says you can keep saying Sol January. I assume that means Happy New Year. I don't know what you do in France, guys, but over here, I think there's a cutoff, and I think it's the 6th of January.
January, they're saying. Yeah.
Happy New Year and a few dry days and nights, but never a whole month, says Steve Howdy Doody. First time sipper here, Martin Hutchings. Welcome, Martin. Peter Gilmore asking, where's your tash gone, Jake?
Yeah, I kept that going for a little while, didn't I? I was quite liking it, but my partner was less keen. So,
Clive Hampton here saying it's his 5th anniversary with Pour and Sip, which means 300 whiskies experienced from Scotland to South Africa by Romania, Israel, India, and Taiwan, amongst others. It's a wonderful world.
That's pretty awesome.
There you go. And as Simon here, welcoming Jonathan and Martin to the tasting. If you are new here, please get involved with your comments. It's great that you're already commenting. Just let us know what you think of the whiskies. Any questions you might have. There's no question that's too silly or whatever. Just get involved, basically.
Cool. Yeah, if you're thinking it, the chances are someone else is thinking it as well. Well, absolutely happy to cover anything that's not clear. So yeah, jump in.
Yeah, sounds good. Should we get going?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's bring in our first guest. And here we are. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, good evening. Happy New Year to those that still say it and those that don't, just hello.
I feel like I've made people who might even say Happy New Year now feel slightly bad about it.
You've split the room, Andy.
Just to my disgust about people saying Happy New Year on the 15th of January. When does it end? Are we going to be in February still saying Happy New Year because I haven't seen you in a while? Anyway, how are you, Patrick? Happy New Year.
I'm very well. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, very well. Yeah, actually my first tasting of the year. I've just realised while I was waiting in the wings, so this is us. This is kickoff.
Well, there you go. Kickoff time. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Nice one to start with.
Yeah. Well, for anyone who doesn't know you, Patrick, tell us about your job role, how you got into the industry.
Sure thing. So my job, I obviously work at Lochlea Distillery. We are quite a small team. We are, I think, from memory at last count, 14 people, and now 2 dogs because the one dog had puppies and we kept one of the puppies. My job basically is to work predominantly with the UK retailers. So We have fantastic retailers all across the country, and my job is to make sure that they are supported and understand what's going on, and occasionally to badger them for an order if we haven't heard from them in a while. But because it's because we're quite a small team, I'm also involved in our private Cask program. You may see me crop up from time to time on the Instagram when there's nobody better looking at the distillery to film, and things like that. So we get involved in all sorts, a bit of export as well. How I got into whiskey, interestingly, well, I think it's interesting. The vast majority of people always expect that it would be my dad that got me into whiskey, because I think that's probably a more common route. But it was actually my mum that got me into whiskey, because my mum used to work for AD Rattray, independent bottlers, and so that was my kind of introduction to the whiskey world, and it seemed pretty cool to me, getting to jet around the place, drink whiskey, meet interesting people. So that was kind of how I got started. And now what's strange is, as I'm going, around all over the place, I bump into people who either recognise my surname, which I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but my surname is somewhat unusual, especially within Scotland. And they kind of say, "Oh, you Francis's boy," and so I get recognised via my mum, which is quite nice.
Oh, okay, that's nice. It's great to hear. A little bit different there. It's kind of cool as well with working with like a kind of newer distillery as well. That still everyone's kind of mucking into different job roles and stuff like that, which you wouldn't get at like a larger distillery or something owned by one of the big distilleries. This kind of must be pretty cool and different. You don't not know where you're going to be needed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it means you get a kind of a good understanding of all the different layers of the business, and we get to do stuff that you wouldn't necessarily. I assume you wouldn't necessarily get to do in a larger distillery and larger company. So, and because it is quite a small team, we all work very closely together, and I know it's a bit of a kind of cliche, but there's a bit of a sort of family feel about it, which is quite nice.
Yeah, they say that every distillery that comes on.
Yeah, I know.
They say it at Macallan as well. But for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about Lochlea.
Yeah, of course. So Lochlea, we are, as you may have surmised by the kind of prior information, we are an independent family-owned distillery. We are at Lowland, so we are down in Ayrshire, which, for those of you that are not familiar with Scottish counties, is about 40 minutes drive south of Glasgow. We're out in the kind of the rolling hills of Ayrshire, deep in Robert Burns country. And the thing about Lochlea, which really sets us apart from the vast majority of other distilleries, although ironically not Filey, who are coming up later, is
that was done intentionally, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, is the fact that we grow the barley ourselves on site. So Lochlea Farm, where we're based, has been around for hundreds of years, but it was about it was in 2018 that the transition was made from being really a kind of cattle farm to a full distillery, and now the entire output of the farm is basically barley, which then goes through the distillery to become whiskey. So we age everything on site. Of course, all the distilling's done on site. We do a portion of the malting on site as well, and that's something that we're hoping to expand in the near future. So yeah, quite an unusual setup for a distillery, really.
So just going back to that point, so that you mentioned about the floor maltings. So obviously, most single estate distilleries are doing it off-site, and you guys was claiming about 20% of floor malting on site.
Yeah. So the way it started was kind of odd. We had run out of space in the warehouse. So when we first started, we basically just had one warehouse, and it was like comically full of casks. I mean, I say comically, it was definitely a health and safety hazard waiting to happen, but there was just casks everywhere, and you could barely even get into it. So we built this new warehouse, just literally like 30 yards down the hill from where the first warehouse was. But the problem was we were waiting on the paperwork coming back through for it to be bonded so that we could store casks in there, without having to lose money to the tax on them. And, the devil makes work for idle hands, I suppose you'd say, because we had this big floor space that we couldn't put casks in yet. Literally across the other side, across from that new shed is the barley store, where there was about, 300-400 tons of barley sitting. We have a good on-site water source, So, we kind of thought, well, why don't we christen the new warehouse by basically using it to do floor malting? And so that's what we kind of did. And it was kind of an experiment to see how we got on. It was very kind of haphazard. We didn't have the right tools to do anything, so everything was sort of MacGyvered together to get it to work. But it was pretty fun, and this kind of started this kind of floor malting project that we've been doing every year since. So now that warehouse is obviously full of casks, but we've managed to find another space to do it on the farm, and we basically will do sort of 2 to 4 weeks of malting in the summer, depending how the yield's been from the previous year. That then obviously goes through the distillery, and we'll keep those casks as the kind of floor malted casks. And actually, excitingly, the first batch of floor malted spirit came of age late last year. So we now technically do have whiskey which is entirely floor malted that's in the warehouses, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. When we'll be able to drink those?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. I mean, I think we're obviously gonna hold on to them for now, and we don't have much of it because it was only a week's production that we did at first. So yeah, we haven't got tons of it, but we will use it for some special release, down the line, I suspect.
Cool. So a lot of the talk is also that it's about this patience and attention to detail when it comes to Lochlea. What does that mean in your production process?
You sure thing. So I mean, the thing about Lochlea is that we don't really have an incentive necessarily to chase volume, because the way that the business is structured, we have a finite amount of barley to work with, and that's the limiting factor to our production volume. If we wanted to produce more spirit, the equipment we have at the distillery is sufficient to do that, but we don't have enough barley. And obviously, if we were to buy more barley in from elsewhere, that would kind of then just, it wouldn't really make sense with our USPs. So if we want to produce more, we'd have to buy more farmland. That's quite expensive. And even then, the percentage that we would go up would be quite relatively small. So what I'm getting at is that given that it's not very effective for us to just chase volume in terms of putting more and more spirit into casks. So what we focus on more is accepting that we have, a sort of set volume, which is just under 200,000 litres a year of pure alcohol. And then trying to do the best that we can with that, 200, well, it's about 193 if you're being pernickety, 1,000 litres of pure alcohol. And so that means, of course, like buying in fresh casks from excellent producers. Things like the floor malting, we're always looking at ways we can kind of optimize and do things better. All of the warehousing is on site, so we have full control of maturation. And when it comes to cask selection, we can basically go from the office to the warehouse I keep meaning to count this in steps, but I reckon it would be about 50 to 60 steps. Okay. Give or take. I'm quite tall, so maybe more for a smaller person. Okay. I would say under 100 safely, unless you're very small. And then of course all through the production as well. Pretty much everything's done manually. We don't have a sort of button that you press, which then launches some sort of James Bond villain-esque series of cranks and levers and things that open things. We have our operator on site, Liam, who is doing everything manually and keeping an eye on everything. And so it's kind of attention to detail, and then, like you said, being patient, not trying to rush the process, and make sure that the output that we do have is used in the best way that we possibly can.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. What is, for anyone's not tried Lochlea before, what would you say? So obviously it's a lowland whiskey, but what is the difference to the usual classic lowland style? Is it something that other people expect to be kind of classically lowland?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question, because when we first were getting started, it was, we started production in 2018, and it was kind of in the midst of this sort of lowland boom, because there was quite a lot, especially up in Fife, but all around Glasgow and things, there was a lot of new distilleries that kind of started in about that time. And we were getting asked, if we were aiming to sort of fly the flag for lowland style whiskey, especially given that we were, Fife is lowlands, but it's comparatively north for the lowlands, if that makes sense.
High lowlands.
So we are south of Glasgow, and people were sort of asking, are you flying the flag and trying to revive the lowland style? If you look very, very closely on our bottles, you'll notice that we don't actually specify that we're a lowland distillery anywhere. We have Ayrshire, can never remember if it's embossed or debossed on the side of the bottle, but it's on the side of the bottle, whichever way you slice it. So it's not that we're ashamed of where we are or anything like that. It's just that we didn't feel it was massively relevant to the kind of spirit we produce. What we wanted to do in terms of flavour with the spirit, what we aimed at is creating a spirit which is A, very, very fruit forward, and B, always has a kind of underlying cereal note. That's what we try to get through in the spirit every time, because we ideally want people, when they are drinking Lochlea, to kind of be thinking about the fields, the barley, the farm. That is Lochlea in its essence, and so we want that kind of character to be there right the way through into the final dram.
Okay, good. What are we trying tonight? Does this represent this at all?
So yeah, this is actually a very good choice, because we launched a new range of 3 sort of core products. So up until now, we've done basically a whiskey for each season, each year, and that kind of got us up and running. And then late last year, we decided to kind of pivot and basically create a new range of 3 whiskies that kind of show off Lochlea in some different ways, based partly on what we'd learned, from the outgoing seasonal releases. This one we call Orchard and Oak. The reason being is it has 2 somewhat unusual cask types in amongst it all. So we have first fill bourbon, pretty standard, but we also have Calvados and we have virgin oak casks in here, which are quite unusual. They were not part of, we hadn't used those casks before this release. And this has been my favourite one of the 3, I think. We have one that's matured in kind of predominantly sherry with a bit of port influence, and we have one which is ex-Isla casks, so it's a bit smoky. But this one, I think, is my favourite, and I would hazard a guess that it's the team favourite as well, because I think this one, of the 3 new ones, best exemplifies Lochlea. The bourbon casks that we have, as they've been aging over the years, we've noticed that each year we get this kind of apple note, and it just gets kind of more and more stewed as they mature. It becomes kind of softer and sweeter. I don't want to give away too many tasting notes before people try it, because I hate when people.
Oh, don't worry, plenty have already come in.
We're going to read them in a minute. I just stuck my nose in that though, and the first thing I thought was that.
I don't blame folk for getting bored of me prattling. That's fine.
No. This is what we're here. I've got a specific slot where I think I'm going to get those tasting notes in. So don't worry, guys.
No, that's fine. So we wanted to kind of drill down into that a bit more. So the Calvados casks were quite an unusual one for us, and then the virgin oak as well. That was.
For anyone who doesn't know, just quickly, can you tell us what Calvados is, just for anyone who doesn't know?
Calvados, sort of apple brandy, basically, distilled apple with apple spirit, and then obviously virgin oak. Just while we're on the kind of definitions train, are casks that have not been used before. So obviously we normally talk about bourbon, sherry, blah 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 blah. Virgin oak are casks that have just come fresh. They've not been used for anything prior, which is kind of somewhat unusual. Obviously, it's very common for bourbon, but it's somewhat unusual for Scotch.
Yeah. Well, should we get tucked into this one? Can I read some of the tasting notes? It seems to have gone quite far back.
Go for Andy. I was going to jump in, but yeah, be my guest. It's
There's quite a lot. What did you think? Have you tried it, Jake? What did you think?
Yeah. So I mean, this is over at Master and Malt. Like, this has been a favourite of the team since it was released. I think what was it, September, when the new 3 core range releases came out. And yeah, I think this is the one that's been talked about the most. It was in Adam had it as his whiskey of the month back in October. I've seen it in a couple of like whiskey of the year roundups recently. I think Whiskey for Everyone had it in there. I think they had a Filey Bay in there as well, actually. Yeah,
gentleman of taste, obviously.
Love it when a plan comes together. But yes, this is, I mean, it's a perfect starter for an evening like this as well.
Yeah,
just fresh and like, well, I won't go on, Andy. Tell me what the members are saying, and then.
Well, they get you. Yeah, so I'll start with Clive Hampton saying nose of lemon, apples, but also creamy and buttery.
Yes.
Yeah, is that something we're expecting here? Creamy and buttery.
Yeah, no, I was just literally took the words out of my mouth, because when I first when we get a new release of anything, I basically do my own tasting notes, because I think it's much better if you're not just basically reading off the back of the packet,
Yeah.
essentially. And in my tasting
If-
notes,
in general, with that, if someone says strawberry, your brain just suddenly goes, "Oh, yeah, strawberry."
yeah, no, that's why I didn't
Strawberry,
want
even
to
if
say
you haven't
too
thought
many
it.
things in case people hadn't tried it, because I'm terrible for that. If someone
Yeah,
tells me
same.
it tastes like tangerine, I just can't not then taste what they told me.
Yeah.
But in my tasting notes, when I got the first sample of this, literally in bold and underlined is buttery. So yeah.
Well, there you go.
100% agree.
First tasting note of the night from Clive Hampton, and he's just nailed it. What was already
There you go.
tasting notes buttery. Remember, guys, there are no wrong tasting notes.
Yeah, and as we established, Clive's had 5 years of pour and sipping experience. So
And look how
that
far
could be
he's
you.
come. Look how far he's come. He's basically now writing the tasting notes for distilleries and their whiskies. So this is what could happen to you if you spend the next 5 years with us. You will be an absolute connoisseur. Malcolm Tucker, nose on Lochlea, peaches, fresh apple, cinnamon, oat biscuit, and hay meadows.
Oh,
nice. Yeah.
That's that cereal note.
Yeah, it's that cereal note you were talking about. Yeah,
Biscuit as well, kind of biscuit. Yep. Sometimes people are not too sure how a cereal note might kind of present itself, but I generally say, well, the hay note is a kind of obvious one, but also things like biscuit, maybe kind of bread or any kind of bready, you know, those kind of notes I think are count in the sort of cereal subcategory.
Yeah, it obviously doesn't mean you're back. Your Lucky Charms and your Cookie Crisps and stuff like that you have behind you that we were talking about.
Maybe Weetabix, I don't know.
Yeah, and the Weetabix is a good one. Yeah. We'll go Weetabix as a good tasting note for cereals. There'll be other ones as well.
Yeah, other cereals are available.
The other ones that still have the cereal and aren't covered in sugar, so you can actually taste the cereal. Barry, the smell is full. Getting cut grass and British ripe tomatoes. Now, have you heard that one? Yeah.
Not tomatoes, I don't think.
There you go. That's what we love about tasting notes, is you're always going to get someone's palate, get something a little bit different. A little sherbet tang on the tongue, which I'm enjoying. Jeffster, banana on the nose for me. I'm really sorry, next, but I can't pronounce your name because it's not in English. I can't read that. But person, I got an earthy and little grassy nose. Absolutely. Peter Gilmore, to the palate, sweet barley and honey. Absolutely. Ali C, definitely pleasantly heavy on the apples and lemon rind on the nose. Peter Gilmore, who's now moved into third place in our kind of our YouTube comment challenge. Finished sweet, dry sweet, if that makes sense. Tart tatin with vanilla ice cream, saying Ali C, and notes of a crunchy bar. Very easy drinking. Absolutely 100%. A classic, really kind of green tart tatin with some vanilla and the creaminess coming from the vanilla ice cream. That's a really good one. Ali C then saying finish of apple Jolly Ranchers.
Oh, never had those.
You've never had a Jolly Rancher before?
Not, I don't think so.
Ah, okay. There you go. They're an American sweet.
I was going to say, I don't know if I've even.
Yeah, they're like a boiled, like a boiled sweet. Like
yeah.
They're hard, but yeah, a Jolly Rancher. Okay, there you go. Try a Jolly Rancher if you can.
Yeah, have to now.
All the whiskies are in the 40% range this evening. Jake, what's going on? Where's the car strength? I'm joking. I'm joking. He's on mute, so he can't speak. The low alcohol box, lol, says Pexman. Guys, this is at 46%. Yeah, this is at 46%. That's not low alcohol. No,
it's a nod to Dry January.
We're doing Dry January here at Pause.
This is our version of Dry January.
Yeah.
Good save, Patrick.
Yeah, very good. Jess, it's pretty innocuous on first taste, but after a few seconds, it really opens up, getting shortbread and summer fruits with a nice, short, spicy finish. Post finish, I'm getting Toblerone, white Toblerone to be specific. Are these tasting notes all kind of what you were expecting?
Yeah, no, there's some fantastic ones in there. I like the white Toblerone. Our Swiss importer will be particularly pleased with that one.
Yeah. Actually, so Nick Foster here saying, lovely and fresh. The Calvados really seems to match the spirit. Having this side by side with cask strength first of all bourbon with Oloroso. Can we know the cask ratios, time in each, or Solera style?
Yeah, sure. So it is. So obviously the bulk of it is first full bourbon. It's about 60%. Then the Calvados is 30%,
right?
Roughly speaking, and the Virgin Oak's about 10%. The Virgin Oak and the Calvados are finishes, so it's 6 months finish. Starts in bourbon, finished in Calvados, Virgin Oak. What I will say is that these ratios are correct for this particular batch, but as we have to do different batches, the ratios will move and the finish time may move slightly. But I mean, it's going to be like ballpark in that kind of area going forward.
And with this, is that Lochlea kind of classic house spirit still intact, isn't it? With this, nothing's really overpowered that, and that's, I suppose, why you guys were talking about how much you liked this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is that's why it's my favorite one when I first tried it. I mean, there's also the fact that it kind of, the cask profile suits the kind of thing that I would like anyway. But I think, you know, as somebody who has the very arduous job of trying basically every whiskey that we release, you know, this one is a good kind of like just under the bonnet look of, this is what a Lochlea whiskey tastes like basically to me. And then the other ones, we kind of pull it in some different directions. And a lot of people might prefer those ones or different ones that we've done. But I think this one is a really good representation of the distillery as a whole.
That's good. Nick Foster saying he's actually preferred this one for more distillery character and barley presence in this, which is interesting to know. And then saying barley, blossom, ginger snaps, and bramleys. Malcolm Tucker saying, having added a drop of water, he's getting coffee coming through. Knows like I've gone to sleep in an orchard, says Martin Hutchings, and who has just taken #1 spot. Everybody, come on, comment more, everybody. Martin is killing it.
I have no idea how they rank that. YouTube works in mysterious ways.
We're just going. We're just going with it. I love it. And Nick Foster says, thanks, ordered. So that's what we like to hear. Remember, guys, If you order that from the Pour and Sip store, you will get your members discount. So get ordering. These things sell really quickly on these tastings. Would you consider selling samples of the new make, pretty please?
Yes, it's something that we get asked about occasionally. It's not something we obviously do at the moment. There's not really any reason in particular why we don't do it. I think it's more just a case of it'd be quite a niche product. Most people don't really want to drink new make. Well, I mean, having said that, I live in Glasgow, where there's about 1 million people that would love to drink new make. But you know, for more civilized places, new make's not necessarily that high volume kind of thing. So we don't sell it, but we do get asked about it quite a bit. So maybe in
general kind of notes in the new make, is it very apple heavy?
Not so much, I wouldn't say. I would say it's very fruit heavy. Just kind of like, yes, like you can kind of get the kind of fruit base, and as I said before, the cereal note. The apples definitely come through more from the bourbon casks. That's been my experience. We use Old Maker's bourbon casks for our bourbon maturation, and like I kind of touched on it earlier, as the casks have been maturing over the last sort of 7.5 years now, we've noticed that what started as kind of like bright, crunchy, fresh apple, green apple, if I've been kind of precise, over time has become, it's like it's being more and more stewed, basically. So it's getting kind of softer, rounder, the kind of sweeter, but not in a like. It's hard to explain what I mean, but that's what it seems like as it's maturing through. So I think that the apple note has come in our spirit predominantly from the bourbon casks originally. Obviously, we now have Calvados, which is just going to take it to another level.
Yeah, you really honed in on the apple thing here.
Yeah, exactly.
We got apple, let's make it more apple.
Yeah, exactly. We noticed that this was a kind of trend within the spirit, and then we wanted to just kind of explore it a bit further and lean on it and see what came out, and you know, we were happy with the results basically.
Yeah, and
I think it's great. Like you were asking sort of what I thought earlier, Andy. It's you kind of kick off with the fresh green apples and like the almost like crunchy fruit, and then you discover that kind of, you know, especially when you move from the nose to the palate, and you also, you know, you get, after a few sips, you find that sort of the toffee and the biscuit and the barley coming through, and people have been expressing it in some great ways. You know, going from sort of like fresh apple to apple crumble, or the white Toblerones are a great one. Or
someone said
somebody mentioned ginger snaps as well, as kind of getting different nuances as you go back. I think they're all great notes. It's kind of deceptive. It's a great whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely stuff. What's next coming up for Lochlea?
Well, we are launching our age statement for the year in 8 days.
I thought you were going to say 5 minutes is the way you look at watch. It's like right now.
Yeah, exactly. A surprise drop. No. So that's coming. We always do it every year. We've done a special release for Burns Night, basically. Burns. I know that like when you come to Scotland, every bench that you go to, Burns is sat on it at some point. Every pub you go to, Burns is drinking it. But for us, we do have quite a kind of strong link to Burns, because he used to live and work at Lochlea for a number of years when he was kind of relatively young. And we don't shout about it too much, but obviously around about Burns Night, it'd be a bit daft not to speak about it more. So we've always done a special release on Burns Night, and over the last few years, it's always been our age statement releases. So our Lochlea 7-year-old is coming out in Friday next week. Obviously Friday next week is not technically Burns Night, but Burns Night is on a Sunday this year, which is not a brilliant day to be launching a new whiskey. So we're doing it on the Friday so everyone can get it in ahead of their Burns Night celebrations.
When will we see like a core release age statement, or will we see that?
That's something, again, that we're kind of working towards as well. We go back and forth on it internally. I think we probably will aim for potentially 10 years old for our kind of first, core product that's an age statement. But it depends when we feel that the liquid's ready to go. Basically, we're not going to rush it out the door if it's not there. And equally, if it is there earlier, then we might launch it earlier. But we are definitely moving in that direction towards age statement stock. We only bottle a relatively small proportion of what we lay down in the warehouses. So that's very much the trend. And the reason that we do that is so that we are building these stocks of older liquid, so that then, as time marches on, we'll have these bottles available, this liquid available. And actually, believe it or not, it slightly freaks me out when I think about it, but we have a kind of loose plan for casks all the way up to Lochlea 30-year-old.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to get a bottle of that when I retire, which will be quite nice. But yeah, we have to think so far ahead. So even though we're only 7.5 years into production, we have to be, we're thinking kind of all the way out to 2050 and onwards in terms of our liquid and maturation.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. It's one of those things, isn't it? Like, of course you are in some ways, but also as a whiskey drinker, it's kind of mind-boggling to think about
bonkers. That. It's bonkers. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's been lovely to talk to you, Patrick. I think, conscious of time, we have 4 other whiskies to drink tonight. So thank you for your time. If you can stick around to the end, please feel free.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on, and thanks for everyone for the good tasting notes and questions.
Yeah, cool. Cheers.
Thank you.
That's you, Jake.
I've got to remember that's my cue. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And he's like, bye.
Yeah, I'm like, bye. No, I don't have that tonight. I'm not driving. So yeah, that's why everything technically has been better tonight. No, I'm joking.
Sorry, no, I was looking at some of the comments we've got.
That's for you to answer that one. The Nick Foster. Oh, they're answering it for him.
Or Nick's just they're sort of answering the questions between them. But yeah, Nick's just asking about how to get the members discount. So yeah, the member store is on the pourandsip.com website. And yeah, if you do have any problems getting into that, just drop us an email, talk to our lovely team. Sort you out. I feel like I should re-stress at this point in the evening, Andy, like how cool it is to have these like 2 whiskies in one box
next to each other, side by side,
where they're growing all of the barley themselves. This is not the norm, people.
No, this is If this is your first time with Pour and Sip, this is having these 2 next to each other is not normally what happens with these distilleries. So
it's so cool.
It's either been a miraculous lucky strike by the Master of Malt team with choosing this.
We like a mini theme within a box, don't we?
Or a mini theme within the box that has been carefully pre-planned. I'll let you guys decide which.
Yeah, that's right.
I know which one it is.
I think we had a little run of these at the beginning of last year in 24. We had 2 or 3 fairly close to each other. So if you've been around here for a while, you might have had a few of these single estate whiskies, but they're not the norm. They are unspeakably cool. And I think without further ado, let's get our next guest in. So in the distillery itself, we have Morgan.
Hello.
Fantastic to have you with us, Morgan. Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself to the Pour and Sip members?
I'm Morgan. I wear many caps, but my title is UK Sales Manager for Spirit of Yorkshire Distillery, and we produce Filey Bay whiskey.
So I
can tell you some more about the distillery if you're interested.
I think we're quite interested, Morgan. Yes.
Yeah, sitting here.
Where are you? What happens there?
Yeah, just chilling out. It's interesting the Lochlea and us thing. We do share stages quite a lot actually when we do shows. Patrick and I often have a beer together afterwards, and we have done talks together, which is quite cool. But you're right, the field to bottle, the single estate bit is really what's special about us as well. But the history of it is slightly different, I suppose. So I'll just briefly nutshell it for you. We've about 2 miles up the hill over there, we've got a 600-acre farm. It's called Hunmanby Grange. We're actually in the village of Hunmanby, which is 3 miles inland from Filey, which, some buzzwords for those who've not visited Yorkshire, is just south of Scarborough. It's about 45 minutes south of Whitby, and it's an hour due east to the coast from York. So that's kind of where we're located. The farm was taken over in 1945 by the Mellor family. It's done lots of things, arable farming, but what it did well was grow barley. So we've grown barley since 1945. We have sold that barley to Munton's malting factory, which is in Bridlington, which is again about 15 minutes that way. They malted our barley and then obviously sold it on to people who made booze with it, breweries, distilleries, whatever. That was working well commercially until the late 80s, early 90s, when the price of English-grown barley drops for lots of global economic reasons. So we looked around us. Well, I say we. I actually was very, very young at this time, believe it or not. But Tom, one of the two founders of the distillery, looked around and realised we have lots of lovely high-grade malting barley and lots of lovely consistent water. So we started making beer in 2003 with Wold Top Brewery. That was the first kind of diversification step from farming to brewing. 2012, 2013, we have a conversation with Munton's and we say, look, we're selling you 500 tons of barley a year. We are getting back 250 tons of malted barley from which we're making beer. Where's the rest of it going? And the answer, and I tread carefully in my current surroundings, but the answer at that point was Scotland. And so that's whenever the Yorkshire farmer with short arms and long pockets, Tom, decided looking at the idea of whiskey was a good step forward. With Dave, who's my MD, who's his business partner, these two guys have played rugby together since the 80s, got good mates, family who've grown up together. So they set up the distillery in 2014 with the help of the late, great Dr. Jim Swan, and we first fired the stills in 2016. So the message is, like Lochlea, we grow it all. It's all fully and totally farmed by us regeneratively, as I say, 2 miles up there. But the backstory is a little different in a sense that it came from farming barley to making beer with said barley to making whiskey. Well, new make spirit and then eventually whiskey from 2019.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I actually visited in 2017.
Yes.
So just before it opened to the public. But yeah, I was very excited. My dad's side of the family are mostly from Yorkshire. So I was just laughing at your short arms, long pockets thing. That's I've heard that many times. But I guess something that's worth emphasising again is, I mean, people probably think about where the barley's grown with Scotch whisky, right? But a lot of it's coming from Yorkshire. It's one of the main malting barley growing places in the UK, right? It's the largest area, so it just makes perfect sense to make beer, but especially with so many English distilleries existing now. But yeah, absolutely to crack on and make some great whiskey.
It's one of them things. Again, I tread carefully. We don't really do English versus Scotch. You know, we love whiskey across all. We rub shoulders with a lot of, particularly the independent Scottish whiskey distilleries, and we love them. And we drink their juice, and we all get on very well. But Scotland, there's no definition as to where the barley comes from. In our example, rather than we've made whiskey and we didn't know what to do, so we flagged the Yorkshire flag and we farm it all. It really is, we've got the ingredients around us to make single malt whiskey, so that's kind of why we started to make it. It was really then a case of how we made it, and that was exactly where Dr. Jim Swan comes in, really, to give us some guidance on that front, really.
I remember being there and seeing all these like a lot of very varied casks. I think there were only probably like a couple of hundred had been laid down at that point, but even then you're playing with some fun casks. I've seen some of them been released since. Like there's an orange wine one I tasted back then, and we had an orange wine Douglas Lane bottling last month actually, like the actual like orange infused wine cask, which is like crazy. Obviously laying down a lot of bourbon casks. I think we did. We had your flagship on Point Sip in 2023.
Yeah.
But STR is another type of cask that I think you've used quite a lot, very associated with Jim Swan.
Yeah.
But also quite unusual to see fully matured in STR.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
Well, again, another slight comparison with Lochlea is since 2019, we've had the flagship continually, which is first fill bourbon matured using Old Forester whiskey casks. We kind of describe that as our house whiskey, kind of our best style, which is that of light and sweet and fruity. And then we use the bourbon casks to bring, well, what you'd expect from first fill bourbon, caramel, vanilla, fudge. STR, Moscatel, some peated casks, even IPA casks with the brewery, sister company breweries casks. We do some cask sharing. We've always done finishes historically. So, bourbon matured, 5.5 years in bourbon, 6-9 months in finishing casks, and that was STR. We finished with STR predominantly. As some may or may not be aware, STR stands for shaved, toasted, and recharred. It's a red wine cask. It's a process that you would apply to red wine casks. We shave away the interior, the whole cask. I've got one in front of me, as almost as I knew. So we take the top and the bottom off. Jose Martin Miguel does this for us. I say we. Take the top and the bottom off. We shave the interior of the cask, toast and rechar the interior, mainly to prevent the tannin overpowering the whiskey, but also to create a consistency across predominantly ex-Rioja casks. When it came to a core range, we now have flagship Moscatel sherry cask and STR red wine cask. The previous iteration of finish, the Moscatel finish and STR finish, both batch 4, both got IWSC golds and Spirits Business golds. So they were top of the list when it came to which we were going to add to the flagship. And they're also the ones that we've got the most casks of maturing, obviously. So it's not entirely fully and totally matured in STR. There is still a little bit of finishing stock in there, but it's over 60% full-term STR matured. And then finish, we're looking at, I cross-reference this with Joe Clark, who's our whiskey director earlier. He was here earlier. He's left me his keys.
Love Joe, yeah.
You go in, some of it's 3 years bourbon, 3 years STR. Some of it's 4.5 years bourbon, 18 months STR. It's through that and then a slight Solera system with some fractional marriage that we can create consistency and thus have three permanent whiskies across our marketplaces.
Yes, perfect. And thank you for explaining STR. It's unlike me to just throw an acronym out without explaining it. I guess it'd be good also probably to explain the sort of the fractional blending, the sort of the Solera system that you just referred to as well.
Well, basically, so when someone produces a batch of single malt whiskey, you're going to be marrying casks together. You're going to be selecting casks, marrying them together to produce a batch. We're doing roughly 6,000 bottles per batch of whiskey at a time. Here we're 80,000 LPA, so we're really, really, really small compared to the big boys, but we're quite big compared to the small English boys. So it's one of those things,
Yes. Yeah.
LPA, another term, litres of pure alcohol, for those who haven't heard that term before. So when you're marrying casks, the idea of it is you're making a consistent single malt whiskey. And so when we do that in the fractional marriage process, we'll do that. We'll marry a lump of casks together to create a consistent, tasty whiskey. And then we'll fill the bottle. Well, we'll sit and let it do its thing for a week. We'll gradually dilute it and continually let it do its thing. Joe's very big on take your time with the cutting of the whiskey. Gradually, he does it. He's been known to do all sorts of stuff through the dilution process, which is a story for another day. You dilute it, and then down to 50%. Most of that goes back into cask. which is where it sits through that Solera system almost again to carry on doing its thing. And then some of it goes into bottle. So you're continually adding previous stocks to new stocks of combination of casks. And it's through that. That's what we've applied with the flagship for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
When I do whiskey shows, people say, "Oh, I've tried the flagship, thanks." I was at one last weekend. And I've tried the flagship. I tried it last year. It was lovely, but I tried that. And I'm saying, well, it's a little bit older this year than last year because it's got more stock added to it, So it gives us a consistency, and it creates that continuation of our kind of distillery style. So we've always applied that with flagship. We didn't apply that with the finishers, hence we did batches. They never saw one another, basically, the batches. With the STR and the Muscatel, STR red wine and Muscatel sherry, we are applying that fractional marriage system, which allows for that consistency. Hope that explains things. Quite a complex one.
It's got mouth.
I was going to say, sorry, I'm interrupting you there.
He's having a drink.
So I was taking a sip. So
We've got, it's catch-22 where I've positioned my screen, and I don't want to mess about with a laptop, but I will. I'll just nudge it there slightly so you can see here. We've got 2 copper pot stills, but it's behind me that might cause confusion for people.
Now you're going to have to explain that. Now you've mentioned
briefly,
that. Have a real whiskey lesson.
One of those things in a world of English whiskey and surrounded by almost entirely Scots, Scottish whiskies that I wanted to clarify. We've got 2 copper pot stills, one there, 5,000 and 3,500 litres, produced by Forsyths of Scotland. What is behind me is a rectifying column. It's a copper rectifying column with 4 copper plates within it. So it's important to clarify that we produce 2 different new make spirits here at Spirit of Yorkshire. One that's double pot distilled, wash still, spirit still, to create a 73% new make. Very fruity, lots of flavours that I don't want to poison people's minds with in what they're going to taste, but lots of flavour. And then second, for 6 months of the year, after the spirit pot still, we also push the spirit through this column as well, this copper tube here. What that does is makes the spirit do more work and get more copper contact, which makes for a lighter, less oily, more fruity, more floral new make style, which is an 86% new make when it's left the stills. So I think the way I've realised halfway through looking at myself here, which I don't really like to do generally, that actually you can't see the pot stills. And I wanted to clarify that everything we make here is double pot distilled. We just use this rectifying column effectively as an extension of the spirit still to create a lighter, more fruity new make for 6 months of the year.
And then the 2 different spirits are then aged separately, is that right?
Yeah, they're both cut to 63.5 and they're both matured separately. So up at the warehouse, which is back up at the farm up the hill, we will have.
How many steps is it from the office to the warehouse?
A few more. I was gonna say a few
How
more.
many? What do we reckon? A good
steps? I reckon I could walk it in half an hour.
Oh, half an hour. Okay, there you go.
Half an hour walk, 5-minute drive. It's quite a steep hill as well. Like the first bit, actually, I wouldn't really want to walk at all, to be honest. Sometimes I've left the distillery because I live in York. My drive back home from the distillery is past the brewery. And if I've got a full van of stock or some casks in it, there's a hill that's pretty nerve-wracking to get up. So it's 2.5 miles to the brewery from here.
Yeah.
The Lochlea gang and ever FaceTime you going, just walking down to the warehouse. Just to let you know, just to rub it in.
So to finish with the warehouse, we've got full-term bourbon matured whiskey that's been with a big P on it because it's double pot distilled, and we've got full-term bourbon matured casks that have got a big C on it because they're double pot distilled, but then they're rectified through column. So they're matured separately and then married later on when we make.
I was about to say, yeah. So when it comes to these releases that the permanent releases that we've just been discussing, like how are you utilising the 2 different styles?
Well, it gives, again, it's one of those things with Joe. If you speak to Joe, he likes to talk about options. The more options we've got as a young distillery, don't get me wrong, we put a lot of attention into our new make. We ensure we ferment correctly, we distill correctly. Same as Lochlea, we do it all with our senses. There's no big chipboard behind us pressing buttons, So we are very new make focused, make sure that the new make's really good quality, but it just gives us, and it's a bit of an analogy, and it's one that I'll use with kind of restaurant or perhaps bar staff trainings. But imagine if you're doing a canvas, you're painting your oil canvas. Well, we've got light blue and dark blue, as well as light red and dark red to make that canvas, which is a batch of Filey Bay whiskey. So it's just gives us more options, basically.
So they're both very much part of the makeup of the whiskey you're releasing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Early doors, we were looking for light, accessible single malt that the masses enjoy. And so one of the ways we can create a light, fruity and floral new make is through the usage of this rectifying film behind me to make our new make just that little bit lighter. And again, just to give us more options when it comes to cask selection.
Fantastic. Yeah. So a quick look what the members are saying. Oh, are you all over it, Andy?
No, it's just, would you like to go?
Can do. Yeah, you did the Lochlea ones, didn't you? So let's find the beginning. Okay, so Ali just saying that the Filey Bay that we've had before have been good. Malcolm Tucker remembering that I'm sure the last time Filey Bay were on, they were in the distillery before then as well. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I haven't learned my lesson. Yeah, still sat here on my own. Yeah, it's true.
This is why we always invite Filey Bay back, because they take it seriously. they give us a good backdrop.
Excellent. We've got Ali sees. I don't know if you know. Ali is asking whether it's all single variety red wine that's been these red wine casks, the STRs. Do you know anything about the wine that's been in them?
Well, yes, they're Spanish, as far as I'm aware, but I'm not sure if they've entirely been labelled as such. But every finish we ever did of STR was always Rioja, always American Oak Tempranillo Rioja. But we called this ST. We purposefully introduced, as you can see on the label. Can you see? I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to get it there. You can see it on the Master of Malt website, on the Pour and Sip website, I'm sure. We introduced the words red wine on the label because STR is great, and part of my strategy and our strategy as a brand, as a growing brand, is to talk about what we do, because what else can we talk about? All we can talk about is how we make whiskey and the detail that goes into our production, you know? So STR was purposefully used rather than Rioja or red wine when it were finishes. The finish was STR finish. There was no mention of red wine on the label unless you really looked on the back of the label. We've lost a Jake there.
He just did not like this story.
I've had enough.
Sorry, that's at the very, very beginning, doesn't it? I feel.
So we called it red wine cask. We've called this STR red wine. So we have the option to talk about detail, but we also make it more recognised when one's looking at a label of a bottle of whiskey on a shelf or on a website. You know, I noticed that we didn't call it Rioja. So I don't want to say they are 100% certified Rioja red wine casks, but I will say until every finish we've ever done has been Rioja. So I'm pretty confident these are too.
That's cracking. That's a great answer. So Peter Gilmore's getting creamy toasted oak. Malcolm Tucker's saying, when I opened the bottle, I got strawberry milkshake. And then after leaving it, we're getting into almonds, woodland honey, a touch of oak. Clive's on apples and malt with some sweet and creamy and quite complex. Saying both this and the Lochlea are very enjoyable. We've got some sweet cereal and a hint of tobacco cigar.
Nice, yeah.
Very subtle from Peter Gilmore. Yeah, absolutely. We've got woodland fruits, thick double cream, a touch of menthol. We have and Danish pastries and red fruit. Yeah, nice.
Danish pastry.
Yeah.
Love a Danish pastry. That's just
love a Danish pastry.
Do love a Danish pastry. Barry is saying he's getting some whiskey memories of the Glenfiddich Discovery series here, but on another level. Fresher, fuller, and great bang for your buck. Very nice. Some people saying, yeah, lovely, very tasty. Some stewed plums, bramble jam. Yeah, very nice. Nick Foster saying, not normally a fan of STR since it's become more common, but this definitely shows how. But this definitely works, and all that care has paid off, in my opinion. Big fan of Jim Swan. We have jammy creamy from Pexman. Yes. Martin Hutchins saying he's not tried STR before, but he's loving it. But yeah, we've got that red fruit vein through a lot of those. Is there anything you'd add?
Yeah, I think some of those taste notes are great. Strawberry milkshakes, cool,
Yeah.
really cool. Red fruits. I mean, similarly to Patrick, I do a lot of tastings. You know, I'm in the distillery once a week. The rest of the time I'm out on the road. I'll do probably a day or two at home, but the rest of the time I'm traveling, doing tastings, barrel tops, visiting people. And so I like to form my own opinion as to what to describe, because otherwise, you're just a robot reading from the back of a label, as I think Andy said or Patrick said. For me, what I've always liked about STR is there's a rich caramel that comes up at the front, and there's less so with this than with the finish, which is probably an expression of slightly older whiskey, actually. There's a black pepper, like a strawberries and black pepper thing going on, which is a thing that back in my restaurant days, we always talked about strawberries and black pepper as a partnership, but that's something I always got as well. But yeah, it's always been the joke I've always made at tastings, and I'm not going to try and deliver it now because I've already got it wrong, but STR is the whiskey that I will sit quietly on my own and enjoy, whereas the Moscatel, we've done the Moscatel Sherry Cask still now, and the Flagship's something I could drink all day, every day. Moscatel Sherry Cask is just sweet. It's a whiskey that I can drink too much of, if I'm honest, because it's just sweet and sugary. It's got those boiled sweet flavors going on. The STR, what I've always found with STR is the more you look for, the more it gives. Berries, toasty caramel, and just a little hint of that black pepper as well, which really complements the sweetness for me. That's kind of what I feel.
Strawberries and pepper. But I like it. It's kind of, it's got the wininess that you want in some respects, but then somehow manages to kind of be quite soft and round. So like Campino sweets in there as well, which I think is quite.
Oh, I remember
in line with what
sweets.
some people were saying. I don't know. I haven't seen them for a while. They must do.
They must do.
Classics.
They were a great sweet. That's a really nostalgic sweet for me.
Yeah, like a marbled strawberry, like through it with the cream. Yeah,
that's
what I'm getting. Yeah, blackberries and it's great. What do you think, Andy?
I've just seen you looking right close at the screen. I'm waiting for you to say
something.
I just want to know if they still sell Campinos.
I googled it.
Oh, they were discontinued over a decade ago, but you can still find them in the States and in Canada under their new brand, Cream Savers.
Oh,
there you go.
So what did we have earlier? The apple, American sweet we had earlier, Andy.
Oh, Jolly Ranchers.
Jolly Ranchers, yeah. And now
Campino
are officially American sweets.
Yeah. It was similar to not the Jolly Ranchers note, the apple Jolly Ranchers, but I was getting this kind of creamy boiled sweet note from this in fairness, and Campino is actually a great shout. But I think the little balance, as you were saying there, between that strawberry and the kind of spicy little pepper kick at the end is really nice, and nothing overpowers. So really, really nice stuff. A little cherry note as well for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the 47.3 helps as well. Just a little bit stronger with the Flagship, just gives that little bit of pepper heat.
Well, according to our Pour and Sip fans over here, they're so used to 56 and 55% whiskey. This is just kids stuff. Kids stuff.
In all seriousness, like some people, people do get in touch sometimes and be like, the average ABV is a bit high, lads. Like, so like you can't please everyone.
No, I actually think it's really nice to try. Like, there's a time and a place for everything. I think it's really nice trying stuff as well, like 46, 47.
Well, I think this is this isn't like a single cask or something. This is a permanent release. Like that's 47.3 is a cracking.
This for me is where the whiskey that I drink kind of. I hate saying regularly because it makes me sound like an alcoholic, but like as in just generally that I drink most often is this kind of stuff. The two that we've tried tonight. Whereas the really heavy cask strength stuff is stuff I usually save for, when the kids have been annoying me, or if it's late at night. But Malcolm Tucker here is saying that next month Andy and Jake talk about Barrett's Sherbet Dip, and Ali sees Campinos and Jolly Ranchers, sign of a 90s upbringing. How dare you? I'm only 25.
Well, we were talking about my Yorkshire grandparents earlier, but my grandparents on the other side ran a sweet shop in the 90s with all the penny sweets, all the way outs. So
Oh.
yeah, I mean, I can talk about that.
We can talk about sweets all day
forever,
long.
yeah.
We'll do a sweet version of this one day. We could do one where I'm doing this thing again that I do. Could match a sweet whiskey. That would be a great shout. And you could get a little Campino for this one and go, which one's the right tasting now? Jake and the Master Malt team now going, what is he? Does this guy ever shut up with this? But it's a really good idea. Nick Boss is saying torn between getting this one and the standard, more straightforward bottling.
Fair. They're both good. If you've not tasted, what I should say is if you've not tasted Filey Bay whiskey before, you've had a good example of what our distillate style, what our style of whiskey is there with fruity. I would say the flagship is a safer bet, if there is such a thing. It's light and creamy and fruity and solely matured in bourbon means less berries, more apple, more caramel, more vanilla, but not overpowering. And it's 46% as well. It's catch-22. I mean, the obvious salesman in me says just buy both. Just get them both and make a little comparison. Get yourself a range of American.
Always both.
Side by side, yeah.
They're both good. They're both really good. You kind of need one for just drinking regularly the STR when the kids are doing your head in. That's kind of my angle as well. To be honest, you really touched on something there, Andy. The STR is the one that.
Don't use that in your marketing, though. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I'm already coining the whiskey and sweet pairing experience.
There's also another question somewhere.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so I'm sort of conscious of time, but there's a few more notes like crunchy bars, apple strudel I liked, there's glacier cherries.
Nice.
There was another question, yes, just before we let you go, Morgan, for now. Is that Nick was interested in anything you could say about barley varieties and also about how perhaps that can be enhanced through regenerative methods.
Ooh. Oh, cool. Okay, so we grow Laureate and Vessel. Vessel's a winter variety, Laureate's a spring variety. So they're harvested at quite a similar time, but they're planted at different times of the year. That's just a way to get an optimal harvest, I suppose, and reduce risk with bad harvests. I think last year, I should show the palms and highlight I am no farmer. I'm a sales manager, but we have an open day on the last weekend of July, and Tom was talking about this to the group. I think the winter variety, I'm probably wrong. One of the varieties struggled because it was really, really dry, and then it rained a lot. And so the other variety, whichever way around it is, did really well because there was a nice little bit of rain towards the end. It just detracts from the risk when you're farming your own entirely. Regenerative farming, we're no-till farming. We've not ploughed the land in about 5 years. That means that the soil structure is good. It means that the moisture in the soil remains. The worm population is really high. We plant cover crops, we plant legumes, radishes, clovers. Last year, about a quarter of the farm was covered in clovers. What they're doing is fixing the soil. They're pulling all the stuff out of the atmosphere, carbon, nitrogen, putting it through the plant, through the roots, into the system. Further long root systems are helping to break and aerate the soil, so you have a healthier soil, a healthier crop, a greater yield. How that affects the whiskey isn't really a thing, if you want my honest perspective. My honest perspective is that we have a consistent raw material from which that we produce whiskey. We have consistent barley and a consistent water source. It's the same pH level because it's from a borehole on the farm. What makes this taste nice, or how it tastes, I should say, are the decisions we make in producing it. Fermentation, yeast types, how we distill, casks we use, marriage, cut points, etc., etc. But what we can say is traceable, sustainable, and from a whiskey perspective, consistent, because we know it's our own from our farm. And we have a direct link with the malting factory down the road who we've sold barley to since 1945. So it's about consistency. That's kind of our stance on that. To
be in full control from seed and to obviously to be the farmers is just is an incredible thing. Like the traceability you mentioned there, obviously just like the kind of provenance and authenticity, and it's just like on a just a different layer of all of that versus almost all of the rest of the industry. So like yourselves and Lochlea are just, like I say, unspeakably cool operations. And
me and Patrick are too, right? It's not just distilleries. That's me and Patrick hanging around
unspeakably cool.
that nerdiness. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Morgan. I'm aware that you're by yourself in a spooky distillery, just strange noises. But
I'm not gonna lie, when you said you don't need to wear the AirPods at the start, I was quite relieved, just because that adds further to the idea that someone's, when you're in a very large distillery on your own. But no, it's good. Thank you for having me. Thanks for all the lovely feedback from all the comments and tasting notes, and the really interesting questions as well. Andy's gone now. I'm boring him as well. But yeah, it's been lovely. It's been lovely talking to you both. Thank you.
Jake needs to let me back in.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much, Morgan. Yeah, I hope you can hang around to the end. I understand if you have to run, but no, a pleasure. And
thank you.
Speak soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Just bought £9.95 for a bag of Campinos off Amazon.
Who actually? They're en route.
They're en route. Knowing Amazon, they'll be here later. Sometimes I get a knock on the door. It's like 10, and it's like Amazon. I'm like, wow, okay, cool, but same day delivery, lovely.
And we've got Ali's after some more cask strength, please. Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
I think it's good to have. We have had a lot of cask strength on board.
We did last year, especially. Actually, we had a lot.
And actually, funnily enough, I go through phases of everything really, and now I sometimes look at my shelf and I've got stuff like that. I used to go, oh man, this is like 57%. And now I'm like, actually, I'm just gonna take that 42% thing that I've got over there. So it varies for me, but it's good to have a bit of everything.
We've had that we've had these conversations before about a few things, haven't we? And I think we all go through little periods of whether it's
I said it about
different casks, or you just get a feeling, a taste for different bits at different times.
Yeah, I said about sherry, and I still maintain actually that Lochlea for me is very much where my palate is sitting at the moment.
See, I was at the end of last year and Christmas. I was in agreement, but I'm sort of just hitting I think as the rich Christmas foods have just subsided, and I finished the last Christmas cake, I'm now like yearning for some sherry.
Well, yeah, because I have really not been drinking much of the sherry stuff, and that brings us on to our next guest at Glenrothes. No, I obviously like all this stuff, and I must specify that cask strength, sherry, bourbon, SCR, whatever it is, I like it generally. In whiskey, I think our palates have little periods of time where they really like one thing, and they go, that's the thing you reach for, and then you find it in other things. And at the moment, I've tend to go for much more bourbon forward whiskies than sherry. However, I still love sherry cask whiskey, and we're going to talk.
Mine's on the turn, and I'm very much looking forward to this next one. So that's
there you go. So
yeah.
Okay, great. Let's bring our next guest on, Georgia.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm gutted to hear Campinos have been discontinued. I haven't thought about them for a long time. I used to love them.
It's one of those things that someone mentions it, and I hadn't thought about Campinos in over a decade. Suddenly someone mentions it, and my whole childhood just flashes before.
Yeah, flashback. Yeah, I can remember the taste. Yeah, really well.
I remember the packet. I remember all of it. Well done, Jake. You've smashed that.
Yeah, well done.
Georgia, welcome to Pour and Sip. This is, I think,
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, talk to us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry and your current job.
So, I'm talking to you tonight from the south side of Edinburgh, and I obviously am with the Glenrothes. So I'm the private client manager for at Edrington, what are known as estate brands. So both Highland Park and Glenrothes. So tonight I have my Glenrothes hat on. Private client manager basically means that I am selling the high age stuff, the fancy prestige stuff to sort of our private clients who are sort of direct customers of the distillery, but then obviously also supporting all of our customers at Edrington with doing immersions, dinners, tastings, whatever I can to sort of bring the world of Glenrothes to life for their private clients. But obviously Edrington's a much bigger sort of operation than your previous guests' distilleries, but Glenrothes is pretty small as well. Like the team that work with Glenrothes is really, really small. So I also have another hat. I also do brand ambassador advocacy stuff alongside that as well. So I've been working in whiskey for like 7 or 8-ish years now. I come from a slightly different angle from auctioneering. So I worked for Bonham's Auctioneers for 13 years, the last 6 of which I worked in the whiskey department, and then sort of by a process of elimination ended up running it for sort of 18 months or so, and then left at the end of 2024 and joined Edrington, which was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, been just over a year.
Yeah, that's cool. It's interesting you mentioned about the higher age stuff, because when I was looking about Glenrothes and like recently, there seems to be a lot more focus on like kind of higher age statements.
Yeah. So the 51-year-old is the big one. Yeah. So that was released last year.
Okay, and I actually think the 15 is, unless I'm wrong, the youngest.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's bonkers. Yeah, and it's the most recent release. So up until the end of 2024, the 18-year-old was the youngest as well.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm really glad someone saw sense, and we had a slightly younger age statement.
Because I mean, I don't know, I've jumped ahead, like, and also like for me with Glenrothes, obviously went through a change with the vintages to the age statements, and kind of Balblair did a similar kind of thing as well. What was the reason for that?
So the Glenrothes brand, not the distillery, was owned by Berry Brothers for just under 10 years, between 2007 and 2017, and then Edrington bought it back. And basically what has been going on since then is a sort of like trying to redefine the brand from the Berry's days, because obviously, like, you know, one of the world's most famous vintners, what do? They release things in vintages. That's what you do. And so, yeah, it was a really lovely kind of USP kind of thing of the distillery during that time, releasing vintages, great for gifting, you know, loads of amazing things were released during that time. And Berry Brothers definitely credited with launching Glenrothes single malt, because up until that point, really, it had just been used as a constituent for blends. So amazing work that they did during that decade. But since then, basically, we've phased that out. And then sort of launch the core range, which starts at 15 and ends at 51 now. So it's like compared, you know, to our sister distilleries, like a tiny portfolio, like 15, 18, 25, 32, 42, 51. That's it. That's all of the range at the moment. So, you know, I hope there'll be some new things to add to that, you know, soon, because I need some more things to roll out for my tastings apart from anything else. But
take the 51s for the tastings.
Pardon?
Take the 51 to the tastings.
Yeah. I've tasted like a drop of that, and I have like vials of it that, like, you know, I practically, you need to give me your firstborn child until I give you a sample of it.
Oh, you can have mine if you like. Actually,
really?
that's all right.
So yeah, it's very, very different, and it's all been about, you know, a change of step, a change of pace, a relaunching of the brand. You know, so making it the kind of like small, if you know brand within the Edrington portfolio. The distillery, much as it pains me, is closed to the public. You can only turn up if you have an appointment or you're invited to come along and stay. I wish we could have loads and loads more people coming to visit the distillery, but it's super, super small, kind of like, you know, I think that if you know brand in Edrington's sort of portfolio. So yeah, so it's a little bit different, but, you know, fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of worked. I'm going to work backwards now about then talk about the distillery. I'm just also noting Barry has written he loves the Isle of Dogs Wes Anderson in the background, which makes me absolutely livid, because I've sat here for 5 years with that in the background there, and no one has ever
that's not planned.
5 years I've been doing this, and no one has ever mentioned that.
Well, you know, I had to have something to compete with the incredible backdrop from the previous one. So yeah,
okay.
It's hard to compete. Yeah.
Okay, George just swans in here, one backdrop, and then suddenly everyone's mentioning it in the comments. Okay, great. Well, maybe one day someone will mention the backdrop, or the whiskey has it in there. Actually, with a nice bottle of Glenrothes. I don't know if you recognise that one there on the top right or the top left. The white. Do you
white bottle?
That? Yeah.
Oh, is that the Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so one of the painful parts of my job is like, I'm like, here's the range, you know, this is what we're tasting. And everyone just talks to me about these really wonderful releases that we don't have anymore. And I'm like, I'm really, really sorry. I wish we could have, you know, I wish I could have some for you to taste. And Halloween is one I've never managed to taste myself. So, you know, I'm very jealous.
One thing I love about Glenrothes is you always know when there's a bottle on your shelf, because
It looks, very distinctive shape. Yeah.
Cool shape.
So there's a reason for that. The shape is like specifically, there's a reason for that. So like the first ever kind of aged Glenrothes that was discovered in the warehouse by accident in the 1950s was a sample bottle, which, you know, is like a big bulbous sort of decanter. You can't put a stop on it, so you can't seal whiskey. And it was this kind of like nice moment in the distillery. And as a result, they saved the sample bottle, which you can see in our visitor sort of tasting room when if you're up at the distillery.
Well, we can't.
That's why.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can obviously. if you ask me very nicely, I'll get you in. And that it's derived from that shape. So there's a reason for it.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's just cool anyway because it looks different, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Notice when a bottle of Glenrothes is on a back bar.
Exactly. And if you have tiny hands, it's really difficult to pour. But,
or Jeremy Beadle back in the day. Anyway, not the most PC. Anyway, so talk to us a little bit about like the house style, because we've tried very different whiskey tonight. Glenrothes is very much a sherry forward distillery.
Yes, so founded in 1879, so we're going back quite a long way. Founded by a group of gentlemen really that were sort of starting to ride the crest of like the first proper whiskey boom. You know, sort of we're talking like end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, when phylloxera had completely decimated cognac industry over on the continent, and people were sort of scratching their heads thinking, what can we drink next? And they turned, you know, to lovely Scotch. And there was this real need for like a kind of lighter style of whiskey, and, you know, no one was really making it. And so our founders decided to create this kind of lighter style of whiskey, really trying to echo that kind of cognac sort of style as much as they could. And so they created the Glenrothes. So the real things which sort of go into making our whiskey, you know, sort of that light, fruity, elegant style that we like to make are firstly our water. So the water is the big thing that we love to talk about Glenrothes. If you come on a tour, we drag you up a hill and we make you drink water from the ground. So it's super, super soft. Literally unique to the valley. So Glenrothes is the Gaelic for valley. Rothes is the town up in Speyside where we're based. For anyone who is in Scotland and knows the town Glenrothes in Fife, that's not where we're based. We're based up in Speyside. So just about 20 minutes south of Elgin. There is a link if anyone wants to know the link between the two towns, but it's not very interesting, but I'll tell you if you want. So the valley water, that's why they chose it. Loads and loads of water, 4 different sources. And so beautiful, lovely, abundant sauce. They didn't know at the time, but super, super, super soft. So low in magnesium and calcium. And they really, really install very, very tall stills. So we have beautiful, really, really elegant tall stills, which, you know, lots of copper contact, lots of reflux, really slow distillation rate. And all of those sort of combined go into making our really light, lovely, fruity style of whiskey. So we have like a 60-hour fermentation. So sort of, you know, quite sweet, you know, in the middle there, nice fruity esters coming through, and a really slow flow through rate during distillation as well. It's about 8 litres per minute. So really, really nice and slow, trying to get that lovely light fruity style as much as possible.
Yeah, like on the tagline is also the world's most elegant whiskey. It says on
so that's a hangover from the founders' kind of like mantra. They wanted to make something that was elegant. They were trying to appeal to like delicate southern palates, and we've really tried to, you know, the branding team. Yeah, I can say that I'm from Salisbury.
Yeah. I took notes.
And they were really trying to appeal to that kind of market. So the branding team have pulled that through from our archives. It's not a term I use all the time, talking about elegant whiskey, but it's basically it's in the lovely archives that we're lucky enough to have at the distillery.
Yeah, how would you describe the style of Glenrothes in general?
I always describe Glenrothes as one of the things I love to do is like a woman in whiskey is try and encourage other women to drink it all the time, and I find sometimes that's a bit of an uphill challenge, and it really annoys me. I find that when you're talking to a group of people, you know, half of which are men, half of which are women, the women are always going, you know, I don't want to try it. And I say Glenrothes is perfect, because for anyone who really knows their stuff, it is a beautifully made, light, fantastic, you know, session dram, but it's also fantastic if you're just dipping your toe into the water and you really want to try it, you know, a whiskey for the first time. So I'd say I describe it sort of on 2 levels: beautifully, wonderful, accessible, and incredibly indulgent, and a complex, lovely whiskey for someone who really just wants a really lovely whiskey to enjoy. So I think appeals at all levels.
don't we all?
Yeah,
When I love
absolutely.
whiskey
Yeah.
too. Tonight we're drinking the 15-year-old.
Yeah.
So this is the youngest Glenrothes in
It
the
is.
current.
Yeah. Yeah, there are 12-year-olds. There were previously non-age statements, but this in the sort of the new core range is the youngest dram, and it will be for the foreseeable future. There are no plans to release anything younger. The reason for this is the Laura Rampling, who's our wonderful whiskey maker, believes that 15 years is the kind of like first, sort of step and when the whiskey's at its best. So that's why it's 15.
Yeah.
So the 15 is predominantly European oak, obviously sherry seasoned. All of our whiskies are sherry seasoned pretty much. Predominantly first fill, rounded off with a little refill. There will be a bit of American oak in there as well for sweetness, for balance, but it's pretty much European oak. So a little bit unusual within our range. Most of them have a lot more more even balance of American oak as well.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. And actually, funnily enough, after everything I just said to Jake, you coming on, I actually really like this. Obviously, it was never that I didn't like sherry whiskey.
No,
it's just not where my palate's sitting at the moment.
Yeah, so obviously within the Edrington Group, we have a huge emphasis on sherry casks, and that's because we've invested so much in our incredible cask program. I don't know if any of I'm sure a lot of people listening tonight will have had lots of Macallan over the years and will have heard all about the Macallan casks and how they're amazing and how we have wonderful strategic partnerships along every single step of the process, from literally selecting the oak tree all the way to from when the cask is raised. The lovely hidden thing is our casks are exactly the same. It's we source them all. They are made to our specifications, as it's the same for Highland Park. So we're super lucky to benefit from that incredible cask program that our sister distillery has effectively pioneered.
I take back the comments I made then about Macallan earlier. I just going to make some brands.
We all say we're part of a family. It's all good.
Okay. So a couple of comments here, and Nick Foster say, I remember the vintage years. It was very confusing. Now I agree, but I really liked it.
Yeah, loads of people do.
I really said the same with Bal Blair as well, just because it was different. But I understand the reasons why they're not in vintage anymore. It's just, as a whiskey drinker, it
was a bit confusing, muddy. It was difficult to isolate a distillery character. I think it was great for gifting, anniversaries, birthdays, that kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, I think we've gone from one extreme to the other. Like hundreds and hundreds of vintages to a really tight core portfolio range now.
Sure. Malcolm Tucker, number one commenter right now, everybody. Malcolm Tucker, look at Malcolm go. Knows Cracknell. So is that another form of crack or something like that? Cracknell?
No, I'm not familiar with that myself.
Sweet. No, it is a sweet. Look, Cracknell sweets.
So we're going on the sweet theme. Oh, okay.
This isn't British no-bake treat from cornflakes coated in a sticky set mixture of cacao butter and golden syrup. It's like a cornflake. The kind you used to make in food tech when you were at school,
Nice.
You gave some cornflakes and some chocolate, and you melted the chocolate and the butter, and
you know
what cracknell is, but I was going to get it wrong. So yeah, the best you just
like chocolatey cornflakes. Yeah,
maybe it's
that's a new one. I might use that. Thanks. Thanks for that.
Anyway, hints of smoked buttered apples, leather-bound book. Now I always get, especially Macallan, but like that in a lot of sherry casks, we see that kind of leather notes.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of leather.
This Ali C gone down to number 3. Ali, you need to get commenting, my friend. Buttery fruit crumble and pecan pie. Is it pecan or pecan? I don't know. The Americans call it pecan.
Either one.
Just turns over the taste notes to see that Pour and Sip also got pecan pie. Niche. Yeah, Ali, you never look first. We know your game. Peter Gilmore, to the palate, cinnamon and ginger and caramelized fruit. Malcolm Tucker, palate, rich caramel, sherry soaked dried fruit, orange zest, warming ginger. The finish, smooth velvet, dark chocolate. Yeah, absolute. That was just, the voice just sent Jake out. I just couldn't deal with it. Peter Gilmore, finished sweet and smooth and lovely. Nick Foster saying, controversial here, sorry, but I have issues with some sherry cask bottlings when you can actually taste the sherry through the whiskey. Detracts from the spirit character. Prefer Old Phil Old refill sherry. Sorry. Look,
It's
I
an
think
interesting tension, isn't it, with all sort of like big sherry drams, but I think like this is obviously high quality European oak, like you're getting a lot of sherry, but it's not like
it's not a bomb.
punching you in the face
Yeah.
with nothing.
No,
but
I'd say our 18 is more going into that territory than the 15.
Okay.
But how do you sort of, as a distillery and a brand, sort of deal with that tension between we've got these fantastic sherry casks that first fill and European oak, and also we've got this sort of light, elegant spirit. Like, how do you deal with that tension?
So I refer back to our water, basically. The spirit we produce is super clean. Well, not clean. It's made from a very neutral background. It's very, very lovely pure water. We have a very light style, all of which implies that it would be very light. The oak, the sherry, would overtake the spirit. I think you'd be forgiven for assuming that. But if anyone has ever had our 42-year-old, in which case you've had a big treat, the spirit actually, or even our 32-year-old, the spirit ages really, really well. Like the older it gets, I wouldn't say that the oak or the sherry overtakes it. There's a kind of strength to it, and you get these kind of more delicate, more fragrant, more floral qualities from the spirit the older it gets. And I think that all links back to the kind of base spirit has this real kind of it ages really, really nicely. And obviously we do have first fill sherry, but we do have a lot of refill in there. There's a couple of bourbon releases which you can get direct at the distillery, and even then the spirit quality you can still taste it. So I'd say it's really delicate, it's really nice and fruity and floral, but it has a real strength to it. Of course there is no lots of people don't prefer a sherry cask, certainly a first fill, and I think that's fine. But I don't think that certainly in our 15-year-old that's something that I get. For our 18-year-old, I think I get much more of that kind of sherry bomb characteristics. But there is I think that attention to it, and there's always difference of opinion, but that's what whiskey is all about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're all subjective on our taste, and I like I said, I must specify it's not that I don't like sherry cask whiskey. I must
what you can say you don't
really specify that. I want to make that clear. It's just that it's used to be my absolute favorite, and now I'm drinking the other side of
Is it a case you had too much? I think sometimes if you have too much of something, and
I was actively hunting. I think it's like peaty whiskey. I was actively hunting, I want to try the peatiest thing possible because that's what my palate. And it was like that with sherry. I want to try a huge sherry bomb, massive sherry bomb, and I think that. Trying a lot of that kind of stuff, and now I'm looking for the complete opposite of that. But anyway, this is really nice, I have to say. Real Boing is saying I get grape flavored hard candies on the nose. Yes, but which grape flavored hard candies? Come on, you need to give us a name, a brand. We need to look and see brands of grape flavored hard candies. Grape is a really underrated flavor in general, I must say. So would like to know if there's one. Taste of caramel with very black coffee, finishing with vanilla. Clive Hampton.
I get a bit of dark chocolate more than coffee actually with this.
Sweet honey with a definite hint of ginger. And David Thompson said, I absolutely love this whiskey. One of my favorites next to the Filey Bay, of course. I'm guessing they're all season sherry casks as well, which gives the element of delicacy. What were you looking up, Jake? Sorry, you were just saying something.
Well, I was trying to look up what something Gordon Motion said to me once. I've not really managed to find it, but he was trying to contextualize what was so special about Edrington sherry casks. I think the quote I've actually found from him is that he's claiming Edrington have 90% of all sherry casks used by the Scotch industry. I don't know if that's overall or whether they're the ones that he thinks count as sherry casks.
I think that whenever I do a tasting, there's always a question I don't know the answer to, and I'd say that's probably my question today. Something I'd need to find out. Obviously,
that's all right.
Fired, so
I think that's the kind of thing Edrington would say.
I think there's a real emphasis on our casks at Edrington, and there's a very good reason for it. That a lot of time and effort's gone into creating that incredible, unique path, and it really is, it really is super special and incredible that we have access to it. So I think, the more emphasis we can make about something that's so special to not only the brands but the parent company is obviously within reason to do it. I think if you've got something to shout about, definitely shout about it.
Are there any?
David Thompson, you just read the comment out of Andy. That's the Filey Bay co-founder, I believe.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's why he said Filey Bay, of course.
Filey Bay,
It just said this is obviously Filey Bay because they're here tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
just being polite. Well,
I never got the pleasure of meeting Gordon Motion before he retired, actually, so I was really gutted not to have that opportunity. But now we're in Mark's safe hands at Highland Park, so I'm sure he's going to do a cracking job.
So yeah, what's next in the pipeline for Glenrothes? Any new exciting releases coming, or are we sticking?
There's nothing new coming out anytime soon, which really upsets me. I don't think there's anything for at least a few months. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing what it will be. They always keep a really, really tight lid on things at our development team. So I'm in the UK market team, so I just work within the UK market. And then the Glenrothes kind of global team does all the MPD and that kind of stuff. So I hear about it when it's all ready. We've got some kind of limited releases, some runs, things like that. In our Cask program, we're doing a lot of emphasis on next year. But in terms of new MPD for the UK market, nothing in the next few months. I'm sorry to say.
What is the biggest market? Where is it for Glenrothes?
I would say it's Asia. So Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Taiwan. Love it in Taiwan. UK market is super great for the Glenrothes. We have done so well with our 51-year-old in the UK market, which has been absolutely amazing. We've just beaten Hong Kong today for the most bottles sold. So I am super excited about that. We'll be focusing on that, I guess, for the next few months. And
how many bottles are there of the 51?
Just 100 worldwide.
Okay.
Just 100.
And how much will one retail at?
£37,000.
There you go. So if you go into the Pour store, you'll get your members discount on that.
Yeah, it's a biggie. So that's what I focus a lot of my time on, is the 51. Yeah.
Okay. And how many have been sold?
Oh, I wouldn't like to say, but I would say we are 70% the way through our allocation in the UK. So we're doing really well. Yeah.
Okay. That's very good to hear. And actually, Malcolm Tucker saying, looking forward to trying the new Highland Park Heather out today. Do you know?
Yes. Yes, I think it's out today. Yeah. That is releasing a very small number of bottles, I think, in the UK. But yeah, you should be able to get your hands on them, I think, as of this week.
Martin Hutchings saying, how much? Exclamation mark.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I deal with all the fancy bottles, so I end up talking about them a lot.
But anyway, back to the 50s. It's a really good drama, and anyway, it's been lovely to talk to you, George.
No, pleasure.
Still got 2 drams to get through.
Which we'll speak about quickly, won't we?
Everyone's dry January is coming to a swift halt.
Really interrupted quite abruptly from Pour and Sip.
I was watching something earlier that's apparently today is like tipping day. Like this is where most people fail there.
This is why the guys at Master knew. They knew where.
2 weeks in and everyone's struggling. The reality of work set back in. You need a drink.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very grateful. I have a very angry, naughty kitten that's sitting right next to me, and I thought she was going to ruin lots of this, but she's behaved the entire time, hasn't made appearance. So I'm
that's what just right at this moment, just jumped straight off you.
Exactly.
We're more than happy for a
petty appearance. Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, lovely to talk to you, Georgia. And if you
pleasure. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
There you go.
There you go. Some sherry for you, Andy, to get you back on the sherry wagon.
No, I love that. I knew I was going to like that because it's one of those brands that you kind of got. Some whiskey brands and distilleries just have a kind of seal of approval anyway, just from the fact of the history, the tradition, and stuff like that. I think for me, Glenrothes is one of those. You're going to get a good sherried whiskey.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd be interested to know how Nick Foster's getting on with it. I mean, obviously,
he didn't like it.
Yeah, he might usually go for a refill sherry, but as far as sherries go, how's he found this one?
How's he finding this one?
There is an interesting comment actually where he's saying about I should have asked when George was here. We can ask her in a minute. I don't think we mentioned it. He's saying he thinks he had a bourbon cask Glenrothes once, and that it's always fun to have something like that from a distillery when you expect it to be sherry. Glengoyne had that white oak.
I loved that.
Really good, and same reason. Really interesting.
Yeah. We had it on here, did we not?
Oh, we might have done actually. Yeah, I think we did.
I think we did. I loved that dram. I remember
Yes.
getting sent that. It was a really, really good whiskey. Nick Foster has actually said it's fortified sherry in his opinion.
Well, that's why we have 4 other whiskies and
That's the
endless
great thing about
opinions
Porn
about
Sip.
these things. Yeah.
Not everything, but next month, you know, if we do a sherry box, you'd be sure to miss that one. But we're not going to.
Well, let's discuss the last 2, Andy. Shall I jump in with the Nikka first?
Yeah.
Japanese whiskey is
Great.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting, and we might not have been as aware of it, even people who loved whiskey, until this century, I guess, when it started appearing more on shelves, when it started picking up a load of awards. But it goes back over 100 years. So you've got Mr. Taketsuru, who's kind of the father of Japanese whiskey, who came over to Scotland in the 1920s and worked at distilleries. I think I've once heard it described as like one of the greatest pieces of corporate espionage ever pulled off. So when worked at all these Scottish distilleries, then took all that knowledge with meticulous notes, because he's the kind of guy who held it all in and could record it all. Back to Japan, was one of the first distillers for Suntory, before then setting up Nikka, which was his own company, and those 2 companies still dominate Japanese whiskey. But got really popular, got really expensive. So that's why it's difficult to get hold of stuff sometimes. We haven't had one for ages, which is why it's cool to sneak this one in. This one kind of goes
on Pour and Sip.
Yeah, we haven't had one for quite a while. But along with the more commonly seen whiskey from the barrel, this pure malt range kind of flies it under the radar a little bit in comparison. But there are 3 of them. They're different colours. This is the red one, which has only a little bit of Yoichi, which is the peated Hokkaido distillery in the north, which was the first one, and a much greater quantity of Miyagi-Kyo, which is the unpeated, much fruitier spirit. I can keep talking about this for ages. I'll try and keep it relatively brief. But Miyagi-Kyo, if you're wondering how to remember how to say that, by the way, Kyo is the Japanese for river, and then it's like Miyagi, like Mr. Miyagi. Miyagi-Kyo. But yeah, I don't know. There might be, and there's this whole thing about sort of transparency in Japanese whiskey, and there might be some Ben Nevis in this.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Nikka own Ben Nevis distillery in Scotland, but when people say there's Ben Nevis in some Japanese whiskies, it's taken over their unaged and
right in the middle of it. What is going on with you tonight?
I'm back. I know. I don't. I've
like literally not even
never happens. And if and I always say it's more of an Andy thing to be dropping in and out.
Yeah, there's goblins and gremlins hanging around with the Pour and Sip tech team tonight.
But no, Japanese whiskey is like super light worts. The sort of clear. Sorry, it's kind of a different beast. I would taste this another day after the drams we've had.
I think Japanese whiskey, it's not a beast, and that's what people get disappointed with. Because what happens is that people go, "Oh, I want to try Japanese whiskey," because they think it's going to be this huge thing because it's so well spoken about, and they hear lots of great hype about it. But what you get, Japanese whiskey is so carefully constructed a lot of the time that it doesn't have these kind of mad, huge flavors coming out left, right, and center. It's very balanced often, and it's very subtle. I find
it's subtle, almost like ethereal, and yes, but then you've still got that little bit of peat in this one, which is quite interesting.
Yeah,
yes, that's probably me.
I've never tried this before, so
that is, like I say, I'd say it for another day. But I'm sure some people will crack into it and let us know what they're thinking about it. But
yeah, okay,
we've spoken enough about
Japanese
trams. Yeah,
we could do a Japanese box. That one we could do, but anyway. So yeah, that one with a little bit of peat in it, and this one is an unpeated version, or is it this the peated version coming? Anyway, so Benriach, Speyside Distillery, going back to 1898, founded by John Duff. Owned by Brown Foreman, who own Glenrothes. And I think you had Dr. Rachel Barry on in December. Have we had Dr. Rachel Barry on recently?
We had.
I wasn't on, but has she been on this? But she has been on with us before. I remember it.
We had her assistant, and her name evades me, which is bad. But that was actually a really good, fun tasting.
I'm pretty convinced she's been on before. But anyway, she took over.
Kirsten Ainsley, who was the assistant blender. I was talking about Glenrothes actually, but
but
we may have done actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced we have. And Benriach was kind of refreshed under her guidance. She's one of the most respected master blenders in the industry. She was inducted into the Whiskey Hall of Fame, worked with Glenmorangie, Bowmore, Lefroy. And anyway, she's been responsible for this kind of rebranding of Benriach, which is a distillery kind of set apart from the fact that it makes 3 different styles of whiskies. It's got classic unpeated, a peated, and a triple distilled, which gives people like Rachel the kind of freedom to play around with these different types of whiskies. And the one we tried tonight, and it should be noted that 5 is a lot of whiskies to drink over the course of one night. So if you want to save these for another time, you don't have to drink them now. I have to say, I will be saving this one for another time. But this one is the original 10, and it kind of makes it interesting because it's an unpeated Benriach, which is, again, not what everyone expects from the distillery. It's matured in a combination of bourbon, sherry, and fresh American oak casks, giving it a kind of more rounded, layered style. And on the nose, we are saying things like orchard fruits, honey, caramel, and toasted oak, with the palate showing bright pear, nectarine, sultana, sweet malt, vanilla cream, and pastry. Kind of a classic, approachable Speyside dram, but with more depth to it thanks to this kind of mix of casks. So let us know what you think about this one, and please feel free to drink at your own pace, like I will be. Pour and sip, people. Jake, you on mute?
Pour and sip, yes.
You are there. Okay, you were kind of frozen talking. If Ali C saying if Steve Coleman Williams was here, he'd be able to check his spreadsheet and tell us. It's true. Where is Steve Coleman Williams? This is outrageous. Maybe he's given up. Pour and sip. That's his new. Huh? Or there's just obviously the sad thing of if he was here, it sounds kind of more sinister at some points, but I'm sure he's okay. So speaking of Steve, he has upgraded the database for us. Thank you. He is still here. He has upgraded the database. So here in spirit. For anyone who doesn't know, one of our Pour and Sip regulars has made a Pour and Sip database with all the whiskies we've tried, and you guys get to, I think, review the whiskies, or like give them star ratings, so we can kind of find out what the best Pour and Sip bottles we've tried. And I think the whiskies had a little bit of an update as well. Like, yeah, as Simon was saying.
Very cool. We're here for that level of enthusiasm, yeah.
We are here for that level of enthusiasm. We're not here that he's not here tonight, so that's a shame.
So my computer was running a bit slow there, Andy, but I think I'm back. Ali was just asking if there was a period in the early to mid 2000s where all Japanese stuff was basically Scotch made but matured in Japan. No, that's slightly over egging it. I think it's just it wasn't terribly clear that some Japanese whiskey had some Scotch in it potentially. Especially we're talking about like we're talking about Nikka, using Ben Nevis spirit, but I mean, it wasn't like they ever said they weren't. It's just there wasn't formalized rules. It's a bit confusing. But yeah, one of the biggest ones over here had a chunk of it in. But
and this
also
really
good whiskey. So.
Yeah, it's not even been specified. They're not even made these like kind of legislative kind of like legal rules. It's not just. Is it more just like a you should write?
Well, there was a moment. When was it? But it was kind of.
No, I remember being
5 or 6 years ago. It sort of became a bit of a story, and actually Nikka were pretty fast out the gates, be like, well, look, these ones are all distilled in Japan. These ones might not have, it might not be exclusively. It's a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, they make very good whiskey. Nikka from the back.
Yeah, and the point is that they weren't like pretending, like they had been legitimately making whiskey for like I say, like 100 years now.
Yeah, like let's be real. If it was a pure Japanese whiskey on the bottle, nothing else added, then maybe I'd go, okay, you're lying to us. But at the end of the day, it's a Japanese whiskey. It's made in Japan. It tastes bloody good, and it's a really good value bottle. That one. So, and most Nikka stuff is. I look forward to trying the red malt.
should we bring our remaining guests back? I think Morgan may have had to run because he was still an hour from home in a cold
really?
distillery.
It's been a long one. I was just looking at the time here. Like it's really.
And yeah, it's.
Sorry.
Let's bring Patrick and Georgia back in
Thursday night.
Here we are. Hi.
No.
Patrick, you're on mute, I think.
There we go.
You're good. Okay, you're good.
Yeah, Morgan sends his apologies. He messaged me via the Single Estate Distillery Illuminati WhatsApp channel to say that he's heading home. He's a wee bit away from home, so he apologises, but he's headed off.
Do we accept this, Jake? Will we invite Filey Bay back again?
And also, I was laughing because when we were talking beforehand, he was like, "I've been here by myself for a while. I think something's moved over there."
Is it haunted? The Spirit of Yorkshire? Is it?
Well, we were saying about this before. You can totally see where all those ghost stories and things come from.
I've had to stay at Glenrothes on my own overnight once in like the house next door, and it was one of the most frightening nights I think of my life. It was horrible. Yeah, everything creaked. There was so many weird noises. Yeah.
No, that's great. I'd love to experience that. I would love to experience, and I'd like something to go boon in the night. Anyway, enough about my hunt of the paranormal and enjoyment of it. Let's discuss and let's ask. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done this, guys. I forgot what happens now. Yes, of course. What has been your favourite bottle of tonight? Please let us know. Let us know what your top bottle, your top 3, what you enjoyed. That's kind of what we do here. No one's going to be offended from our guests tonight. And Morgan's gone, so if it was Filey Bay, it wasn't Filey Bay, they won't be offended. Though co-founder David Thompson is still in the comments, so he may be.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but anyway, so let us know. You can get thinking, get cracking. I'm only going to read them out. We've got 2 more minutes, so let us know quickly. And to Georgia and Patrick, did you get any good whiskey for Christmas? What was the best one? That's what I want to know.
I got the same bottle, same distillery I get every single year for my in-laws because they know that I like that distillery.
Oh, really?
I love Glenfarclas.
Okay.
I have so much Glenfarclas. I got a 105, which I love.
I love that one,
But I literally have like 8 bottles of just like Anyway, so yeah.
Do you have your birth year bottle?
Pardon?
Do you have your birth year bottle?
What, from the family casks?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, actually, I've tasted it.
Okay.
And it was banging. Actually, it was absolutely fantastic. But no, I don't have any family cask going.
No, I would love to have one.
Yeah, I've tried 89 and 86. Yeah, they're pretty special.
Yeah, okay, I'm right in the middle there. Okay, so if we want to get you a Christmas present there, Georgia, we get you the 105, right?
No, please, no more.
No more 105. And also,
it's so strong as well.
I was going to say a really light, low alcohol.
Yeah.
Is it
I don't mind a cask strength. Obviously controversial subject. On
what is it? 58, 50. It varies.
60,
it?
60, I think. Yeah.
Okay, well, so don't get Georgia anything from Glenfarclas. Okay. I actually love Glenfarclas.
And so do I. 100% love it. Absolutely love it.
One of the reasons I really like Glenfarclas is because I think it's a really good way to get into drinking age statement whiskey and sometimes a little bit older whiskey at a reasonable price. I think you can get I don't know what it is nowadays. It's changed, doesn't it, with the tariffs and everything. But I started off with drinking older whiskey by drinking Glenfarclas core range. Patrick, what about you?
I've got a sad story, I'm afraid. I used to get every year from my mum. I would get a bottle of Springbank 10-year-old because that was my favourite. Yeah. And then obviously over kind of lockdown and shortly after, it became almost impossible to get. And so one year Christmas came around and there was not a bottle to be found. So kind of Mary and Joseph vibes on the Springbank 10. So
yeah,
it's like when Santa stops coming, isn't it? That's like a heartbreaking tale.
Well, you know what? I was maybe a wee bit cruel because I knew Mum had got me it every year for like a few years running, and then I knew that she was going to really struggle. But my mum is also a bit of a kind of hawk when it comes to the internet. She can just find stuff. Like she's good at finding stuff. So I thought I just won't say anything, and I'll just see
if she manages to pull this off.
What happens? So she got a panicky phone call about the 22nd of December to just go, Patrick, I can't find it, and this is what she would get me for Christmas every year. So I said,
your mum sounds like a keeper.
So what did you get instead?
I think nothing.
Too late. Yeah.
Let's face it, the Springbank, you can get the Springbank 5 now. That's core release, isn't it? Now you can get a bottle of that.
Yeah, no, this was a few years ago. So I think she just gave up trying after that.
Oh, she gave up trying. Okay, well, that's
Yeah,
just
no.
generally what happens with Springbank. I'm sure.
Understandable. What about you, Andy?
Huh? What about
you?
me? I got this. It's on brand because we were just talking about it. This is the extra marriage version.
Ah, the extra marriage. I haven't had the extra marriage.
It rocks. I was going to say something else there. I don't know where we are. It's awesome. Yeah, get this one, the 40th limited anniversary edition.
And this is, I mean, I don't know. This is a new release, and I'm imagining this probably is formulated to be just exclusively Japanese juice, which they said that
I would imagine so. I love this bottle as well. However, I have not yet perfected the art of pouring from this bottle without dropping the slightest drops of liquid. I don't know. Happens every single time. But anyway, this was really, really good juice, I have to say. What about you, Jake?
I was speaking to someone about those Nikka from the bottles. Nikka from, what's it called? From the barrel. God, that's the word I'm reaching for. Yeah.
Terrible from the bottle. They just pour it out.
Yeah.
They really are
From the
cheating.
bottle, from the barrel.
It's when they were saying that they were going to reformulate that, and a few people said to me, you know, like, well, you better not fuck it up. Like, I'm not that fussed about it all being 100% Japanese. At least it's still really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I received any, but I certainly drank plenty. I was over with my my partner's family over in the Isle of Man, and so we're drinking a few. We had signatory bottlings of. I think we had some old, not too old, but we had a nice Highland Park. We were tucking into a nice Kalila, and then I was drinking some Balblair 15 recently as well, which was a nice one. That might be popping up on my whiskey from mum coming up. Yeah.
I always get one bottle of whiskey that I get every year. Sorry, I know. We're just going back to my whiskey collection. Not embarrassed by this at all. Not embarrassed by this at all.
Well, so I've got a theory that Andy is actually on the payroll of Mellowcorn.
Every single year, someone buys me this for Christmas. It's my favourite bottle. Lovely little screw top. Lovely. Guys, try Mellowcorn. Yeah.
Available Campino and Mellowcorn.
Available at Master of Malt. Great dram. Lovely. Anyway, guys, let's go through your tasting notes. Your tasting notes and your favourites.
Let's do it. We have X-Man who is saying he's got Filey Bay was his favourite tonight, then Glenrothes, then the Lochlea. But that said, I'm buying a bottle of Nikka.
Yeah.
Malcolm Tucker saying another hard choice this month, but he'll go Lochlea. Get some more love for Lochlea from Simon. Tony saying it's a close between the top three there. May have to sample a little more before I have to find a top spot. All very good.
Tony Capon is a great name. Are you in the mafia? That really sounds such a mafia name. Maybe he is. I don't know. It's a great name.
Nick Foster, again, he wasn't so sure about the sherry cask, so perhaps unsurprisingly, he's gone with the Lochlea. Enjoyed the Calvados added fun. It was some more.
Ali.
Go on, Andy.
That's what I was just talking to myself. Ali, Lochlea, then Glenrothes, then Filey Bay. Lochlea stood out for the interesting apple Calvados flavours.
I want some Calvados now.
Yeah,
Totally.
Calvados. Yeah. Real boingo, because I love PT whiskey. Nikka for me tonight. Clive Hampson, 3 great whiskies, 3 knowledgeable and entertaining presenters. I'm joking. Is that 3 great whiskies, 3 knowledgeable and entertaining guests, and 2 presenters who look like they drunk a lot of whiskey in their time. What does that mean?
It's a bit barbed.
Spicy.
Does that mean I'm aging? Does that mean like I look like okay. Okay, you need to explain yourself there. What's not to like? I'll still be here in the next 5 years. Thank you, Clive Hampton. Lochlea blew my socks off. Thank you. Real boinga, but great box as usual. 3 great drams. Tough choice, says Martin Hutchinson. In about 2020, I finished a bottle of Springbank 12 thinking, got to get more of this, says Ali C. It was a few years before I managed to land a 10 and then later a 15. Hold on, we had the 10-year-old on Pour and Sip last year, right?
We did, yeah.
We did.
It's a special treat, yeah.
Was it it was the core release, the 10-year-old, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. You need to tell Patrick's mum about that.
That's right.
Giving bottles out away of the Springbank 10. Bourbon Lover. Hope everyone was doing well. 100%. Malcolm Tucker, talking of bottles, any thought of aluminium bottles?
No.
No.
I'd be surprised. Yeah.
The reason being, well, for us anyway, I think it's just you want people to see the liquids, and there's been some brands that I know of who have swapped over to aluminium bottles, and it's not been a particularly good move for them. Never say never, but I think that
You could argue with like
see the liquid.
you could argue that some of the brands like Bruichladdich don't need everyone to see the liquid.
Yeah, no, of course. Like, I think it's. I don't think it's an absolute must, but I think from our perspective, we like people to be able to see.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Just on the subject of, I need to ask Malcolm. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the TV show The Thick of It, but there's a character in it called Malcolm Tucker. I don't know if this is like
maybe it is Matt.
A pseudonym.
Is it?
But
Malcolm?
it's a fantastic show, and he's a great character.
Can you let us know? Can you let us know?
Yeah. If it's the real Malcolm Tucker,
The real Malcolm Tucker.
That really is something.
Nick Foster, man of my heart, doesn't like sherried whiskey, and he's also written Mellow Corn. Yeah, also great for blending. Man, I'm not on the payroll at Heaven Hill, but this is good stuff. Can get it at Master Malt. Calm down, everybody. Ali C, haven't had a Kalila in a while. Isle of Box for Fez this year, maybe.
Could well be.
Yeah. And Tony Capone, Mafia enjoys a good dram too. Exactly, they do. They love whiskey.
Aluminium bottles is an interesting one, though, isn't it? I've seen like there's a gin that's doing well at the moment. It's got one. It's
which one? Sorry, aluminium bottles.
Aluminium bottles. Yeah, I don't know whether there's any sort of concern about leaching or anything over being in there a long time, high ABV. I don't know enough about it, but it's certainly it's an interesting.
What were the Americans?
Hard sell for whiskey. I think.
Aluminum bottles. That's
aluminum. Yeah.
Aluminum bottles. That's not so. Pexman Springbank 10 was June 2025. Thanks, Steve's database. There you go. So we actually just had that as anyway. Ali C, how about Springbank local barley in a box? Good luck. And Malcolm Tucker says he is not Peter Capaldi, who I assume is the actor who plays Malcolm.
He is.
Again,
There you go.
He's heard it before.
I'm sure he has.
Yeah, he's heard it before.
We had a guy one time who turned up to my old distillery when I was a tour guide, and Kevin Bridges, the comedian, was doing a show, in town. And we got this booking for Kevin Bridges plus 3 guests or whatever. And we were all so excited because it was Kevin Bridges. And then this kind of fairly innocuous American guy turned up, who was called Kevin Bridges. And there was basically a welcoming committee for him who, just were visibly distraught at the fact that this was the Kevin Bridges we waited for.
Did you having rolled out the red carpet? Did they have to
still roll it?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure our distillery manager audibly swore when he saw that this was the Kevin Bridges in question because he was angling for free tickets. But I said to the guy, I was like, "Oh, do you want to know something funny?" And he said, "You're about to tell me there's a Scottish comedian called Kevin Bridges, aren't you?" And I said, "Oh yeah."
He's had it his whole holiday.
He said, "I've been over here for a week, and everyone's been disappointed to see me."
It's been
gutsing.
Well, I've had the best tables. I've been like,
there was some perks. Taxis turned up like that.
Yeah,
it was not even called Kevin Bridges. He just.
Very good.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure.
It really has.
Thank
2 hours.
you.
I think that's getting on for one of the longer ones that we've done. So it obviously means it's been a good night.
Good.
Absolutely.
There you go. Well, not that our guest just rambled on forever.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we give it a rest. Bloody hell. No,
I wasn't thinking that, but now I am.
It's been a great night, everybody. Thank you to all our guests. Thank you to Morgan at Filey Bay as well. Thank you all to joining us and for the first one of this new year. And we hope to see you in February on the Jake.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say. I thought you were saying thank you to the guests there. Yeah, no, I've got it. February date is the 12th of Feb. We'll see you on the 12th of Feb.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, carry on. 12th. I just realised that's something. 12th of Feb. So we will see you all on the 12th of Feb. Thank you all for all your comments joining in. Just to let you know, right there at the end, Malcolm Tucker with the whole Peter Capaldi thing has split it. He's got right at the end, #1 commenter for Pour and Sip January New Year goes to Malcolm Tucker. YouTube commenter. Thanks very much to all our guests and presenters. You are very welcome. And we will see you all soon. Thanks.
Yeah, many thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.